Hey, what's going on? It's Joey Myers from the Hitting Performance Lab, and in this Yordan Alvarez swing analysis, we're going to look at his 3 home runs in one game. And the subhead of this article is where should hitters' adjustability be and how to get it. I talk a lot about hitting adjustability or adjustable swings on the socials. We're going to go over where the adjustability should be built into a hitter's swing. But before we get there, we have something to celebrate. As you see here, the Full House twin, one of the Full House twins, she actually dances here, but I don't have this article published yet. But we got a couple things to celebrate. This is our 300th free hitting blog post at hittingperformancelab.com. Golly, time has flown since we started hittingperformancelab.com back in 2014. We started offering programs and courses back in 2013, a year earlier, so we started this blog a year later, and we've had and been honored to have over 20,000 coaches, instructors, and parents just like you invest in our books, courses, and resources. Now, there's a comment that sometimes we run into on the socials, and it is we're not credible to talk hitting because we're just trying to sell something. Well, here's a couple things that people don't understand about our goodwill. Again, this is our 300th free blog post on hitting at hittingperformancelab.com. So if you think we're just trying to do something to sell something or make a couple bucks, go check that site out and see all the free stuff. Also, as of today, we've given away for free, by the way, 8,293 ebook versions of our books that are currently being sold on Amazon. And a majority of those are our Amazon best-selling book, The Catapult Loading System. So if you're watching this just on YouTube, you can click the link directly below this video to go to the blog and you can check out this book here. Plus, we're going to have a little surprise for you at the end of this blog. I will announce it. So yes, we have spent and we do spend a lot of time and money and effort researching, studying, and working with hitters. This is what we do for a living. This isn't a side hustle for me like it is for some. 100% of our attention is spent researching, studying, tinkering, experimenting, testing, and talking to others who do the same. So yes, I deserve to monetize my time, effort, and knowledge. I don't go to this cotton-headed nanny-muggins workplace or business and tell their customers not to buy from them because they're just trying to sell something. This is a laughable argument. And by the way, it doesn't automatically, if somebody's selling something or selling a product, it doesn't automatically relieve them of credibility on the subject of hitting. Test their theories, philosophies, and/or products. And if they don't work within 1 to 3 weeks, then call them a snake oil salesman. That aside, 8/15, this is my birthday. So this is my 39th birthday, 39 years young. For some of you, I'm still an old buck. To others, an old fart, and for those around my same age, what did you think about the Beverly Hills 90210 reboot? Ha, love that show. Anyway, so in this video, let's get to the nuts and bolts of this video. Wanted to get that out of the way, part of our celebration here for the Yordan Alvarez swing analysis. Let's get to his analysis. In the video, we're going to talk about 4 different things, and we're going to talk about the adjustability in the swing and how they all kind of relate. 1 is the sideways back foot. 2 is skipping the back foot, and 3 is using the front knee to how the front knee is used to buy time, and then the back leg bend versus straightening it like some hitters, younger hitters do. So let's start with the sideways back foot. Compliments of MLB.com. Here is Yordan Alvarez in the swing analysis. This is the 3-homer game just recently, and this is the last homer in the mix. This one actually is kind of interesting. This is the close-up. Let me show you the front view and just kind of play this in real motion. And you tell me if this was an eephus. This game was a blowout. I think it was like 23-2. They killed the Orioles. The Astros killed the Orioles. And I think Yordan Alvarez, well, besides the 3 homers, I think one of them was a grand slam. I think he had like 7 RBIs. Had a great game. He's very much in line for that Rookie of the Year this year. But check out this in real time. Watch this pitch. Whoop. That was either a knuckleball or an eephus, and he crushed this thing pretty far. Now, a couple things I want you to look at on the back foot. This view's a little hard. We're going to see a little bit better view in a second just because the pitcher's head's in the way here. This is supposed to be up in the zone. Because it was an eephus or a knuckleball, probably was going to end up somewhere middle because of the loop in the pitch. But you watch the back foot heel. This is the indicator. A lot of coaches out there teaching explode the hips and get the belt buckle to the pull side of the middle infielder on all pitches. Don't matter if it's away or in or middle or up or down, don't matter. We want that belt buckle. We want to explode those hips. Well, the problem with that is that's a lot of the shifts that are going to be going on. We have more shifts. The defense are going to go into more shifts, pull side shifts. So we want to be able to line things up in the lower half from the waist down. What we want hitters to use the lower half for is directional force, is what Matt Noakes calls directional force. So we want to allow that lower half to kind of anchor down where we are between those 90 degrees of fair territory. And by over rotating, we effectively rotate the field from the official 90 degrees of fair territory, and we pull it into pull territory, foul territory on the pull side. So as you can see, one of the ways we can do this and we can train this is this back heel, which helps to anchor the hips down and not over rotate. This pitch is a little bit more in. You can see where the catcher's glove is, and then now you can see the plate. It's a little bit more on the inner half of the plate. So he's going to be a little bit more rotated than he would be on the outer half. That lower half, that back heel is staying behind him back here and not rotating over towards the plate. Now, to see this at the better view, is probably the best view of all these swings here, of this swing, of these 3 homers. But you can see that back heel a little bit better, I guess a little far away, but you can see how it's really anchoring there. So now if we go and look at a couple of these other ones, this is the second one actually, I think. This is the breaking ball, the slider or the curve ball. It's kind of slung up there, and he crushes this one 88 miles an hour. But you can see the back heel, again, the pitcher's head's in the way, but you can see it angling back. You can see his knee angling back and everything kind of angling behind him. So that heel is definitely not clicking over. You can see over here in this view as the head moves out of the way there, you can see the heel is definitely behind him. Let's look at swing number 1. Now this one is on a 92 or 93 mile an hour fastball or two-seamer, lower in portion of the plate there, and you're going to see same thing, that back heel. Let's see if we can get the pitcher to move out of the way. Probably not too much, but you can see the knee. Watch the knee kind of move in. Okay, that will be indicative. The ankle will follow that. It'd be very hard for the ankle to go opposite that way of the knee because everything's connected. But you can see pretty good evidence, even though you don't see the back foot, you can see that back foot is staying sideways. Best way to do this, I found, is using a Velo Pro and attaching the back hip to the back heel and just telling the hitter to keep the back heel sticky to the ground. Other hitters you can look at that do this very well is George Springer of the Astros, Jose Altuve does this pretty good, Miggy Cabrera, Mike Trout, they all kind of do it. Doesn't matter really where the pitch is, they do it on all pitches. So that is the keeping the back foot sideways and what that means and how to fix it. Now let's talk about the skipping back foot. Okay, so now I don't teach all my hitters to skip the back foot. Here's what I tell them. Here's the overarching human movement principle that's validated by science, and that is that the hitter is shifting their weight into the ball, or as Matt Noakes says, compressing the baseball or the softball. So you have to shift your weight. This is what we do since the moment we've walked, crawled, rolled. We shift our weight when there's locomotion involved. Hitting isn't any different. We do not sit on that back side. We do up to a point, maybe to ride out the back hip or ride out the stride. As Matt Noakes says, ride and stride. I call it float and fall. So we want to use that as a timing mechanism, but there has to be some sort of a weight shift in our hitters if we want our hitters to go from shifting 70%, 75% of their body weight into the ball by not shifting their weight, or 150% of their body weight into the ball by shifting their body weight. So they can do that in 3 ways. That's the rule. Okay, those are the bumpers if we're at the bowling alley. I don't care what path that ball rolls down the lane, just as long as it stays between the bumpers. So shifting weight is between the bumpers. Now, how that looks, there's 3 ways that we can get hitters to do it. We either can get them to the toe, the back toe. We can get them to get a little skip, and by a little skip, I mean 2 to 3 inches. No matter the hitter, the smaller, shorter the hitter, maybe less, 1, 2, 3 inches. But we want a little skip, so little skip or getting to the toe, the tippy toe, not squishing the bug and turning on the ball of the foot, but getting to the tippy toe. The 3rd way is a scissor. Scissoring with the back foot. And you can see here that Yordan Alvarez in the swing analysis, you can see that he's more of a skipper. He skips a little bit, at least on this pitch. Some of the other ones, maybe not, maybe just gets to the toe. But on this one, because this was the eephus pitch, this was the last home run in the three homer series in one game, he gets a little bit of a skip here. And this, again, could be some buying time. He's using that adjustable swing, his lower half, as the adjustableness of the swing. And you can see him getting to the toe and skipping a little bit there. So scissoring, if you want to get a good example of scissoring, you can look at Miggy Cabrera. He does it pretty much all the time. Mike Trout does it all the time. Jose Altuve, for the most part, does it all the time. But this is a good example of a shifting of the foot. You can see that back foot back there, and it's skipping. So let's move on to the next one of adjustability in the lower half of hitting. Now, what was cool about this 3-homer game is that we got 3 different kinds of pitches. We got as you remember, the first homer was around a 92, 93 mile an hour two-seamer fastball on the inner half down in the zone. We got an 88 mile an hour breaker, whether it's a slider, curveball, a frisbee curveball. And then we have this eephus pitch, which was funny. It didn't even show what the speed was on this pitch, as they usually do when the ball gets there. So I can't tell you how fast this pitch was, but I can tell you from the way this pitcher threw it. But this pitch is nonetheless probably a batting practice fastball, maybe even slower eephus type pitch. So you're getting some major adjustability here. You'll get to see a big league hitter, what they tend to do. Here's probably the best view of this one, to see the knee make that adjustment to timing to buy the hitter a little bit of time. So you can see him put it down, put the front foot down. He still see a little bit out in front. You can see where the ball's at. Ball's over here. The blur's happening over here, and he's already getting his front foot down. So you can tell this pitch is a slower pitch, but he has to buy himself some time. You see him pause there. That's a major pause, by the way. Again, if a pitcher's throwing a fastball 95 up and in, and then maybe a curveball in the outer half, and you might get a curveball that's about, 80, 85 miles an hour, you're going to see this move if the hitters buys themselves some time in this way, but it's not maybe going to be quite as delayed as that. You'll see just a very brief pause, and then they'll go into the turn. But you can see that Yordan Alvarez will land, and he will bend into both knees. You're seeing more bend in the front knee, but it's okay for hitters to bend in the back knee too. Pitcher's up in the zone, although you might, I don't know if Yordan Alvarez on pitches down in the zone, if he actually swings and keeps his front knee bent, like we see Cody Bellinger or Corey Seager or Anthony Rizzo. They tend to adjust to pitch height based on their knees. They use their knees to go down. They don't necessarily get straight all the time with this front knee, like you see Yordan Alvarez or Mike Trout, and they use more kind of a slanted shoulders or more of a shoulder tilt to get down to lower pitches. They use the knee, the front knee, bending the knee to get down to it for adjustability. But this is another cool way, and I don't have a drill for this per se for my hitters. I just kind of tell them that they can use their knees to adjust to pitch height, or even cushion, like Jamie Savalas calls the cushion or the double cushion, to buy some time so that the body's still all kind of wrapped up. He does a good job of the catapult loading system, showing numbers, hiding hands, down shoulder angle. And as long as you keep that all nice and wrapped up, you can use your legs to buy time. And then when you're ready, go ahead and trigger it and go on that. So that is how hitters buy time with the front knee and use that kind of adjustability with the lower half. Let's move on to the last one. All right, again, this is probably the best camera view we got. We didn't get any chest on with these 3 homers here, so the other views are just going to be close-ups and far-offs of the pitcher's view, so it's kind of tough to see the back leg angle. But this is something that I've seen in not a lot of my hitters when I get new hitters in, but we'll see them actually straightening out this back knee. I think Ryan Braun does this. He's one of the only few up there that tends to do that more. But what happens is, if you look at the studies, I think that major Miami study where they looked at biomechanics of pro hitters versus amateur hitters or whatever, and they found there was a huge activation of the hamstring, the back hamstring, in pro level hitters and not quite as much in the amateur hitters. Well, a lot of times if that leg straightens, that is the opposite of the hamstring. That's the quad working to straighten the knee. And also you'll see the back glute. So in this case, Yordan Alvarez's left glute, his butt cheek, will tighten up pretty tight. Most of the time what's happening there, because we want to create this angle with this back knee, and softball versus baseball, fast pitch versus slow pitch, fast pitch versus hard ball, may differ a little bit in this angle where baseball players may want to get, because the arch of the ball coming down is a little bit more. maybe between 90 degrees to 105 to 110 degree angle with this back knee. Softball, not quite, maybe as much. They could probably fall within the 100 to 120 degree angle with this back knee. But nonetheless, not going straight for sure. And obviously too much bend, we don't want to really do that either, because we want to kind of match that plane that's coming in. Because baseball players, we have a round, and softball, we have a round bat and a round ball. We don't have the benefit like golfers do with an angled club head to be able to get under the ball, create some loft. So we have to use our body to do that. So we talk about creating a ramp with the body, where it's like if a motorcycle is going to ride up your body and jump over into the crowd, we want to create somewhat of a ramp. And the straighter that back leg becomes, the more straight up and down we get. And the consequence of that is the ball tends to be in the ground more, low level line drives, when the hitter gets taller. We talk about getting shorter, and to do that and get on that line, we talk about that back leg. So the problem happens when hitters start to arch their back, which I see a lot of horrible swings like that on Twitter, where they're arching their back, trying to get back on that back leg or stay behind on that back hip or whatever. I see a lot of arching backs. Well, an arching back isn't a bad thing until you start to twist it. When you arch, you push the vertebrae of your back to get together, the vertebrae of your spine together, and when you turn, you're going to start grinding into the cartilage and the synovial fluid. You're going to push out the synovial fluid in the joints. Not a good thing. You're going to wear a hole in your back. So what we tend to do is what we call the hollow position. So if you think of your pelvis as a bowl of water, you can spill water if you go into an anterior pelvic tilt, basically like Donald Duck butt, and we spill water on our toes, or you can do the opposite like Pink Panther and do a posterior pelvic tilt and spill water on your heels. So the hollow is basically trying to spill water on your heels. There's an exercise on YouTube if you type in gymnastics hollow position, or hollow hold. It's a great exercise to help hitters to strengthen that lower abdominal muscle, to get them into a hollow position and not arch their back during the turn. So that's a great one. So that's what I find when the hitters straighten out their back leg. They tend to overwork the quad, overwork the back glute, and those are defensive mechanisms, survival mechanisms to protect the lower back. They aren't very good. I mean, they're good enough, but eventually there's going to be a hole in that lower back. So we want to encourage hitters to get more of a bend here. We can use like a wall turn, or I guess some people call it the phone booth turn. You can use that while also doing the hollow and the pinch. We also can do the work instead of the strength side of it with the hollow position, gymnastics hollow hold. We can also tell our hitters to take their belly button and their belt buckle and try and pinch those 2 points together and hold those 2 points as they're turning. Think of like a Hunter Pence. He does this very, very well, almost to the extreme. But that's going to help to get the lower back into more of a flexed position, or taking the curve out of the lower back. Then eventually what'll happen is the brain can say, okay, glute, we don't need to turn on as much anymore. Hey, quad, okay, we don't need to turn on as much anymore. Let's use that hamstring, that the more primary fast twitch muscle fibers in that hamstring versus the quad. The quad's more of a long distance muscle. The hamstring is more of a sprinter muscle. We want to get that sprinter muscle working more than the quad and that glute in this situation to create this angle with this back leg, which will allow us to adapt and adjust. So that is our adjustability lesson we went over in this Yordan Alvarez swing analysis video. We talked about the sideways back foot. We talked about the skipping back foot, front knee, and how it's used to buy time, and then back leg bend versus straightening. Now, I did mention, I think, a gift or a surprise for you at the beginning of this video. And what that surprise is if you click the link, if you're watching this on YouTube, in the About section below this video, click that link, go over to this original blog post. There's a link on that blog post to a giveaway, free catapult loading system, how to train 100-pound hitters to consistently drive the ball 300 feet. It's my Amazon best-selling book. Blue cover. You can enter to win a free book. We're going to do a weekly drawing every week, at least for some indefinite period of time. So go over there, enter to win, and you're welcome. Make sure that you're swinging smarter by moving better. And before I let you go, the Hitting Performance Lab wants to know, did you know repeatable hitting power does not start in the hips? Have you heard the expressions, load and explode the hips? Power comes from the hips. Well, we created a free video revealing the results of a scientific study that will show you how we added 48 feet of batted ball distance instantly. And it's not all about the hips. Click here now to get the video. while it's still free.